Kevin said he might not. live.
It worked. Good job, Bot Feet.
Oh, it's so exciting when I get to do it myself.
The button worked.
Oh, well, how are you doing tonight, Steve? Ready for a big
Good.
show?
Yeah, looks like it's a good one. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, Alan, you know what time it is. It's time for roll call. We've got Alan and Kevin and Bruce and Jason, not Snell, and Jill and John and Rose and Sandy and Shy and Michael Westbay. And who else is in here? I know we don't have Frank bringing up the back end of the alphabet. Anybody else hiding in the sidebar? I don't think so. I think that's everybody. Roll call. All right. Well, I think, notice my new video. Why didn't I have this camera last week? That's a good question.
I thought you did, but if you, I could go back and check.
So this is the new Logitech 4K camera. Does anybody remember? Did I have this last week? I was going to write up a review about it. Actually, I wrote up a review about it, but I did not. I decided to push it out to next week because we have tons of content for this week. Hey, Shy, you've got a lot of experience in audio. I would like you to identify this waveform. This is coming from Steve to me. That's what I hear when Steve is not talking. Now, we've tried to think that that's his fans, but his fans are running continuously. Basically, what it sounds like is somebody drumming their fingers on a table. What on earth makes that shape that comes from a computer setup? Steve's sitting silently. Did you check the Fourier spectrum? You know what, Bruce? I did not. That's actually a great idea.
Have.
Is he typing? No, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like somebody typing on a soft keyboard. A mouse in the drawer trying to get out. Thank you, Michael. Steve, you don't have your old spinning hard drive still sitting on your desk running a backup, do you?
I've scheduled my backups. I do have a spinning drive on my desk, but the backups are paused.
Could you power it down or eject it?
I guess I could.
The other Frank is here. Frank O'Carroll's here. Hi, Frank. Forevermore to be called the other Frank. Wonder if you pick up a drive or a fan vibrating on the table. Yeah. That's what I was just wondering about your external drive.
Oh, I'll make sure that you have Discord turned off and Mimo audio on.
I do.
Okay.
I did that as soon as they were both live. So did you eject the drive?
I haven't yet. I just want to make sure I'm not going to mess something up here.
Oh, come on. Roll the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scooter.
Okay, I think I can do this without messing.
Come on, just
up.
eject it. Eject it. Do it. It's the first time I've thought of that. We've been struggling with what this could be for quite a while. Is it ejected yet?
No.
You're killing me.
It's a time machine backup.
Just right click on it and
yeah, I did.
Eject.
I did. It's not ejected.
And what did it do?
It's stopping, I think.
Oh, it's stopping.
Yeah, it
so
makes
if
me
it didn't
think
do
that
it
was,
quickly. Uh-huh.
I thought my backups weren't running.
This is exciting waiting. I guess I could start recording and you could just let me know if you ever get it ejected.
Yeah, I'll let you know when it ejects.
Okay, I'm going to mute Steve. Oh, would it be easier to lift it off the desk and see if it stops? That's a good idea. Just pick it up.
Hold on.
Reach over and pick it up. Here we go. This is exciting.
Okay, it's off.
And it stopped. That was it.
Really? Now it's back on. Is it still going? Do you see it?
Don't talk for a second. No, it stopped. It's not flatline like it was when it was lifted. Maybe it finished. Oh, that makes me so happy.
Okay, it's ejected.
Okay, now don't talk. Yep, there's a steady little tiny bit of noise now. Let's see, don't make any noise for just a second here. And now this is what I see. We are going to throw that disk drive out the window and get you an SSD, okay?
Oh, that's
because yeah, that's a lot better. That's just a low hiss, and I can barely
Yeah.
hear that. You can actually, you could take that Dynamics processor off now too, Steve.
I've got an isolator, right? I guess that's not isolating too well.
Apparently.
And
Yep.
I don't
Okay.
think that... You ready to get going?
I probably should at some point. It's only 5 after. Oh, she says, yeah, put a shelf above it. Yeah, he's got a window right in front of him. Or just put a towel under it.
Might help.
Place it on some foam. Yeah. We tried putting his entire Mac on a piece of foam or on some towels because I thought that might be it. But you can order my M1 MacBook Air with that SSD for Steve. Yeah, right. At the same time. Definitely. Okay, I'm going to mute Steve and start recording, though. This is so happy that I'm not listening to that right now. That makes me joyful beyond belief. All right. Oh, and that explains why when we did our test earlier, it was fine. Because it just wasn't doing a backup right then.
Running.
And you're not supposed to be doing backups right now anyway.
I thought I'd scheduled them to stop for a time machine.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Apparently
okay,
not.
Muting Steve while he figures that out. All right. Oh, I'm so happy about that. All right, here we go. Whoops, drop in the audio, the intro, and bring it down. About there. Right here. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, May 2nd, 2021, and this is show number 834. Well, guess what? This week we have not one, but 2 Chit Chat Across the Pond episodes. All right, I'm going to do the first chapter mark. And the second one, speaking of chapter marks, the new Apple Podcast subscription where you can pay to subscribe to a podcast, the podcaster has to upload the file as a WAV file, and WAV files don't support chapter marks. How's that? So if you make an episode for people who are paying, they will have a worse experience than you can deliver them otherwise. You're muted, dear. 0502.
Not good.
Right. Not good at all. Okay, so Christoph first, because that was the first one. Preview. In Chit Chat Across the Pond, episode 683, my guest is Christoph Zajac-Denik. Christoph worked as a TV producer while touring in a rock band. He's a drummer, an actor, a stuntman, a surfer, a journalist, a podcaster, and a public speaker. He's also 4 feet 4 inches tall and is a rare form of dwarfism. Christoph hosts an amazing podcast that I absolutely recommend. It's entitled I'm Kind of a Big Deal. In this podcast, he interviews amazing little people doing really cool things. From actors to professional surfboarders, he learns about their lives, their professions, and has a good laugh with everyone. He's also done several shows describing the surgeries he's had to endure and how grateful he is to his parents for having them done. We talked about how to stand when talking to little people, how people stare at little people, his surgeries, little people in acting, and pedal extenders so he can drive. We laughed a lot, but the conversation gets deep and kind of introspective as well. I had an absolute blast, and I think Christoph did too. Here's a spoiler for you. He's going to teach me to surf. Go check out Chit Chat Across the Pond Light in your podcatcher of choice to find episode 683 with Christoph. You didn't know that part, did you, Steve?
About the surfing? Yeah, I did, because I listened to it.
Oh, okay. What do you think of that?
I'm going to probably want to take video of that.
Can you even imagine? I am not the most coordinated person on earth. So that will be good. I got to get back
Non-fan
to...
cooling solution for MacBook Pro. You had a pad at one time, didn't you? You were using, Al?
I have a couple of different things. Actually, have you seen the 12 South stand? I am bananas about that. I did a review on that one, but I've got a couple of things. I think they're under the bed here. Actually, I don't know where they are. I'll look it up. I think actually, if you look up 12 South on podfeed.com, you'll see the solution I'm using now, Alistair, or Shai, and I think I referenced the other way I've had it stood up. If I don't, let me know. I've definitely got an opinion on that. I had one. Okay, and I gotta do my chapter mark here. And this one. And then I can go to this one, which will give me this. There we go. Here we go. Muting Steve. In Chit Chat Across the Pond 684, it's another episode of Programming by Stealth with Bart Busschots. He calls it the push and pull of Git. When Bart started this mini-series within a series on using Git for version control, he explained that our journey would be in 3 phases. Phase 1 was the section where we learned about local repositories. Phase 2 was dedicated to learning how to have multiple repositories just for ourselves. In this lesson, in Chit Chat Across the Pond 684, we finish up Phase 2 by learning how to push and pull changes from our imaginary desktop to our imaginary network-attached storage to our imaginary laptop and back. I slowed the class down a few times with some confusion I had, but Bart always claims that my confusion often helps other people who might be hung up on the same thing. I enjoyed myself immensely, even when I was confused. Now we're about to enter Phase 3, where we'll learn how to collaborate with others. We're going to be doing this collaboration using GitHub because it's pretty much the de facto home for most open source projects. When you're done listening to Programming by Stealth 115 and studying the show notes very carefully, you might want to get yourself a GitHub account so you can be ready for the next lesson. As always, you can find Bart's fabulous show notes for this episode at pbs.bartificer.net and look for Programming by Stealth in your podcatcher of choice. Alrighty then. Okay, chapter. Did I miss anything, Steve?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Now, is this where you change the order a little bit?
Yes, I'm going to do clockwise now. All right, here goes. This week, I had the great pleasure of being on Clockwise again with hosts Micah Sargent and Dan Morin, along with guest Jeremy Burge. He's the creator of Emojipedia. We talked about whether and how we encourage our friends and family to update their software, what kind of keyboards we like, and how to deal with poor internet connectivity. That one was from Jeremy because he lives on a boat. Anyway, we also covered my currently favorite subject, as you'll hear later in the show, the fiddliness of macOS. Be sure to check out Clockwise episode 396, where probably in your podcatcher of choice, and there's also a link in the show notes. That's a lot of little chapters.
Yeah, you're
but I'm going to do another one.
Fast here.
I am. I'm just knocking them out. Okay, this is hilarious. This one's really short. This is so stupid. Your favorite show is Clockwise. Alan, your favorite show is supposed to be the NosillaCast. I'm just saying. At least don't tell me when I'm talking right here. All right, muting Steve. Everyone and their sister has been reviewing AirTags this week with various opinions on whether they're awesome or not. I am not going to do a full review of AirTags because I'm sure you've heard it all, but I do have a kind of funny story to tell. The review I was originally going to write was going to be entitled something like, "Are AirTags as disappointing to you as they are to me?" Well, the reason for the article was because my first experience with AirTags was surprisingly bad. I took my shiny new AirTag out of the plastic wrap, being careful to pull the plastic out of the battery compartment. It made a delightful little chirp to tell me it was working. A pop-up arrived on my phone showing a spinning AirTag, and by following the on-screen instructions, I was able to easily name the AirTag and an appropriate emoji and give it my... I don't mean emoji, do I? Is that not an emoji? Do I mean an emoji when it gives it like a handbag? Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think emoji is the right word.
Is that emoji?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
I'll record again. Oh, okay. Your favorite show with Allison. All right, Alan. Yeah, you're forgiven then. All right. Oh, Drunk Nick Nolte's here. Yeah, where you been, buddy? All right, here we go. Everyone and their sister has been reviewing AirTags this week with various opinions on whether they're awesome or not. I'm not going to do a full review of AirTags because you've probably already heard it already, but I do have a funny story to tell. Originally, I was going to do a review that was going to be entitled something like, "Are AirTags as disappointing to you as they are to me?" The reason for the article was because my first experience with AirTags was surprisingly bad. I took my shiny new AirTag out of the plastic wrap, being careful to pull it out of the battery compartment. The AirTag made a delightful little chirp to tell me it was working. A pop-up arrived on my phone showing a spinning AirTag, and by following the on-screen instructions, I was able to easily name the AirTag, add an appropriate emoji, and give it my phone number to be contacted if anyone found my AirTag. I named my AirTag Handbag, and I put it in my purse. I walked a few rooms away, and in the Find My app, I tapped on the new Items option that's in there, and it showed my purse was at my home address on a map. Okay, so far so good. I selected the purse icon from the list and I tapped Find, expecting to be rewarded with an on-screen arrow like everyone on Earth has been demoing on the internets. But I didn't get a green screen with a happy arrow showing me how far away my device was. Instead, I got a sprinkling of little dots in a circle, and the message on screen said, "Connected, signal is weak. Try moving to a different location." Well, when this happened, I was only like one large room away from the AirTag, but, I moved into the hallway where I was maybe 10 feet from the device. Still, no joy. It wasn't until I was actually in the same room with the thing that Find My showed me an arrow and said I was within 6 feet of it. Well, that isn't in the least bit helpful if I have to be in the same room with it in order to find it, right? That's not helpful at all. Well, I started thinking this fancy interface really was only designed for diving inside your couch like in the marketing video during the Spring Loaded event. But before writing up how dumb I thought AirTags were, I went over to our Slack at podfeet.com/Slack, and I wrote to Marty Gensius, who had posted earlier in the day that he had received his AirTags. I asked about his experience, and he described it as working quite well. Find My detected his AirTags 26 feet away from where, at least when he had direct line of sight. His AirTags were even showing him direction and distance when he was on a different floor from his AirTags. We went back and forth a bit, and suddenly I had one of those forehead-slapping moments. I'm a creature of habit, and I've bought this identical purse 3 times, and I suddenly had a vague memory of the pocket in the purse being advertised as having radio frequency blocking material around the pocket. I opened the purse, and sure enough, there's a big red leather label on the pocket that very clearly says RFID on it. I moved the AirTag to a different pocket, and suddenly, the AirTags were as good as everyone else says they are. Ridley.
Well, it's certainly good you found that out before you wrote your review. That would have been embarrassing. You probably have to retract something.
When I tweeted this one, I said I almost entitled this, "I am such an idiot," but I've used that too many times.
Yeah. What episode?
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, right. You thinking I should have these episode numbers?
Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Did you put a chapter mark in for this one?
I was trying, but I did it wrong. It's time for Bruce.
All right.
I think we may have enough time to listen to this one.
All right.
It's 8 minutes, though. Maybe we'll just tease him. What do you think?
Well, let's see what else you got here. Well, how long is Everything's Not Fiddly?
That's another, I think, let me see. That's another 8 minutes.
Oh, we've got plenty of time. It's only 5:20.
Okay. I did order the new iPad Pro, Shy. her pocket, and suddenly the AirTags were as good as everyone else says they are.
Greetings, fellow.
All right. He introduces himself, so I am going to let him kick in. There's a weird click at the beginning, though. Okay, let's see how this sounds. The AirTags were as good as everyone else says they are. Too long? Everyone else says they are.
Greetings, fellow NosillaCastaways. This is Bruce from Tennessee with a review of.
Actually, I'm going to get rid of that breath at the beginning, too, if that's not offensive to remove. Okay, put that back there. All right, here we go. What else says they are?
Greetings, fellow NosillaCastaways. This is Bruce from Tennessee with a review of the Logitech Zone Wireless Plus headset. First, what's the problem to be solved? I've been on distributed teams and doing phone conferences and web meetings for decades, and I've historically used a wired USB headset with a boom mic. I preferred the wired USB to avoid the Bluetooth latency, and the boom mics generally do a better job of getting just my voice and not a lot of the background noise. And the boom mics don't have that scritch, scritch, scritch noise that we get with those microphones that are on headset cords as they rub along people's clothes. A few months ago, after the several months of everything being an online meeting, tripping over my headset cord, I decided I needed more mobility and I'd try moving to a wireless headset. I tried and returned a couple of Bluetooth headsets that just didn't work for me. Then I saw an article that talked about a flip to mute feature with some boom mics. When you flip the boom up away from your mouth, the headset mutes itself and the microphone. This is apparently a thing in the gamer world, which makes a lot of sense. After doing some searching, I found the Logitech Zone wireless headsets as something with good reviews and this feature. I chose the Logitech Zone Wireless Plus model, which comes with the USB-A dongle and can also work over Bluetooth. It retails for around $230 US at a range of vendors, and I'm thrilled with this headset. I mostly use mine with the dongle, since that makes it easy to move the headset between computers. I have a work computer and a personal computer at home, and I can simply move the dongle from one computer to another to change which one is using the headset. The flip to mute feature is great. If I need to cough or take a drink, I can quickly flip the mic up and the microphone mutes itself. Pull the microphone back down and it unmutes. For Microsoft Teams and Zoom meetings specifically, flipping the mic up also mutes me in the app, and pulling it back down unmutes me in the app. The dongle has a white light when I'm unmuted and a red light when I'm muted. When I'm in meetings with the camera on, pulling that mic down is also a signal to others that I'd like to speak, which has been useful. The flip to mute combined with mobility makes things a lot better on those back to back to back to back meetings days. I can be in a meeting and get up and go to the kitchen to get a refill on my drink. I'll mute the microphone so people don't hear the noise, but I don't have to run back to my computer to unmute when something comes up where I need to answer a question or put in a comment. I've used a USB extension cable to bring that dongle out to just under the front edge of my desk, so the radio signals are pretty well unobstructed, and I can pretty consistently get a good 40 to 50 feet away from my computer with no noticeable degradation in quality. There are also some other features that weren't in my problem to be solved list, but which really have proven beneficial. When I first set up the headset and installed the Logitune software, it immediately wanted to do a firmware update on the headset. It's done one other firmware update over the past 3 months, and the Logitune software itself has had at least 3 updates in that time. So things seem to be actively developed, which is a good thing from a security perspective. The headphones have active noise cancellation. They're an on-the-ear style rather than over-the-ear, so it's not great noise canceling, and I don't think they would do a great job on an airplane, but they knock down the area noise of the other household activities, and I'm quite satisfied with the feature. The Logitune software provides controls for the microphone gain and for sideband. That sideband feature feeds the microphone signal back into what you're hearing, and you can control the percentage. Sideband and clear control of the microphone gain has been wonderful. My wife reports that I'm speaking in a much more normal tone of voice when on a web meeting, and I'm experiencing a lot less vocal fatigue at the end of a day of web meetings. I really do feel like that's helped me to make my speaking much more conversational in these kinds of meetings. The microphone quality is good. I'm using it for making this review, so you can judge for yourself. My colleagues report that I'm usually one of the clearest people on a call, and they report not hearing keyboard noise when I'm typing. If I have a window open on a windy day, they do report some wind noise, but they didn't hear the neighbor's leaf blower or my wife vacuuming. And I've done some testing with voice memos. I can hear typing, but it's not obvious. And frankly, I'm not talented enough that I can type much and talk at the same time. So that easy mute and unmute also makes a big difference with not distracting others in a meeting with my keyboard noise. The sound quality is also good, but frankly, my opinion on that subject doesn't matter for much. I've listened to some music on the headsets and it sounds good enough to me, but I'm not an audiophile. The sound quality is definitely good enough for voice calls and listening to recorded webinars. The comfort level is also good for an on-the-ear style. I would generally prefer an over-the-ear for long-term wearing, but I was able to use some Bruce force and spring the band out a bit, and it's now quite comfortable on my big old head. I've worn it for 10 hours straight and didn't come away with a headache, though it was a bit of a relief to take them off at the end of that very long day. The battery life is good, definitely enough for all-day use. I was down to about 30% after that 10-hour run, so the headset could have lasted longer, even if I was done. Charging is easy. You can charge with a standard micro USB cable, but the headset also supports wireless charging. I simply set my headset down on a key wireless charging pad when not in use, and it starts charging right back up. I really like not having to fuss with a charging cable. The dongle on the Wireless Plus model can theoretically be used to also control a Logitech keyboard and Logitech mouse. I've not tried that, so I can't report on how fiddly that might be. There is also a Zone Wireless, not Plus model, that's about $200 retail, so $30 cheaper than the Plus model. That base model only works with a dongle, and I think that dongle only works with a headset. You can't use it to control a mouse and a keyboard. The headset does fold up somewhat, so it fits better into a knapsack and it comes with a bag. The ear pads don't turn, but the on-the-ear style means that it's not quite as bulky as most over-the-ear headsets. I've not made particular use of the Bluetooth features, but I've made a phone call or two with it and it seems to be just fine. I really like the simplicity of moving the dongle between devices and to move the headset. It's just way less fiddly and faster than fussing with Bluetooth menus. There's a button on the left ear cup that does play pause if you're listening to music, which would be useful for some people. Overall, I am completely thrilled with this purchase. It's not the most comfortable headset that I've used, but I think it's about as comfortable as an on-ear headset is going to be for me. I'd love to have some headset-mounted controls to change the sound volume to better handle those meetings where one person has a really hot mic and someone else is just barely audible. But that's really the only negative thing I've got to say about the Zone Wireless Plus headset from Logitech. Thanks, and stay subscribed.
Oh, I like that stay subscribed at the end. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a very good review, Bruce. Well done.
Yeah. Hey, you're sounding crackly all of a sudden, Steve.
Am I?
And I'm listening in Mimo Live.
That's interesting.
Talk a little more?
How about now? Am I crackly?
No, it stopped. Yeah, very good. And that sounds like, was that all in one take, Bruce? Because that sounded like, I heard no cuts in that. All right,
wow,
I'm going to make a couple of comments.
That's pretty good for one take.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. All right, I am going to make a couple of comments here.
From Logitech. Thanks, and stay subscribed.
Well, thanks so much for this, Bruce, especially that stay subscribed part. I got to tell you, that Zone Wireless Plus headset sounds really fantastic. You know, I always cringe when I hear people say they got a headset mic because people tend to not position the mic correctly, so they get a lot of noise from their nose, but you have definitely mastered the placement of the mic. I found most interesting what you said about your wife's observation of how much more naturally you're talking with this mic and how it's less fatiguing for you. And I think you mentioned it when you were talking about being able to monitor your own voice. And that is very, very interesting. I'm also surprised you're able to monitor your voice on a Bluetooth headset, because normally that delay is much more than people can stand. I can't do it. I'm monitoring my own voice right now, but I can't do it with Bluetooth. It's just way too low, too slow. But I think you said that you could set it at about 70%. You could still stand it, so it's just a quieter version of yourself. And that's interesting because I think people often speak really loudly into phones because they can't hear themselves very well. And so that maybe that's part of why you're able to speak naturally. Anyway, that's really cool. You also mentioned using the Bluetooth dongle to easily switch between devices. That sounds great. Sounds so much less fiddly than messing with Bluetooth menus, like you said. You know, I noticed on the Logitech website that this headset comes with both a USB Type A and Type C dongle, and that's really good because that means there's no need for a double dongle with USB-C. So if you had a USB-A but you had a USB-C computer, you'd end up with a double dongle, and that would be nasty. Thanks so much for sending this in, and I sure hope you do more reviews, especially with the Logitech Zone Plus headset from Logitech. I said Logitech twice. All right, let's fix that. Nasty. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for sending this in, and I sure hope you do more reviews, especially with the Logitech Zone Wireless Plus headset. Nasty. Thanks so much for sending this in. Okay, there we go. Alrighty then.
Wait, could you do that transition once more? That sounded off.
Dongle, and that would be nasty. Well, don't talk while I'm doing it. Here you go. End up with a double dongle, and that would be nasty. Thanks so much for sending this in, and I sure hope you do more reviews. Sounded okay, right?
That's good.
All right, Alan. Now for your favorite part of the show.
Now, do you need a chapter mark here?
I do. Thank you.
That was Kevin.
Oh, it was. Good job, Kevin. Copy link. Copy. Somebody's snoring in here.
Tesla.
Somebody's bored. All right. Here's your favorite part of the show, Alan.
Wait, you don't have the chapter marking. Oh, do you? Okay, I guess you do.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, let me find. This is going to be a long read now. And I doubt I'm going to be able to do it in one take. But look, now he's set down the challenge. 8 minutes without missing a beat. Here we go.
Everything is fiddly.
Well, I have to say, I think I've been going about this everything fiddly thing all wrong. I should have created a segment about what's not fiddly. That would have created unique and unusual stories. With everything is fiddly, there's just too darn much material to work with. Let me just tell you how my week went. Let's start with the name Everything is Fiddly. I knew when I created the phrase that I'd be typing it really often, so I immediately created a text expander snippet for it. I type EIF semicolon. Ever since I coined the term, I've been getting a lot of use out of that text expander snippet. A few months ago, I decided to invest in the app Ulysses after testing it out from within SetApp. Ulysses makes a great blog posting writing app for me because it syncs really well between macOS and iPadOS, and most importantly because it supports Text Expander on iOS. I rely so heavily on Text Expander that I can't stand to work on the podcast without it. With Text Expander support inside Ulysses and syncing between the iPad and Mac, I can finally use the iPad for blogging. But guess what? While I'm trying to write this very Everything is Fiddly article, the text expander snippet for that phrase is not working. Every other snippet I want to expand in Ulysses is working, and that snippet is working on the Mac, but it's not working on the iPad. Now, the only thing worse than not having text expander support is having intermittent text expander support. This has happened before with Ulysses, and the folks there have tried to help me fix it, but you know what? I'm just too exhausted to ask them to help me again. All right, let's stick with text expander for a moment longer. This is one of the most rock-solid applications I have ever used, and I've been using text expander for well over a decade. But recently, it started intermittently failing on my Mac. By failing, I mean I type in an abbreviation and the snippet simply doesn't expand. I have a keyboard shortcut to set up for opening search, and recently that stopped working too. This is search within text expander I'm talking about. I type command semicolon and the little search window just doesn't come up. When these symptoms occur, I click on the menu bar item, and instead of showing me the fancy new view of the app, it's the old menu from the previous version. Smile's trying to help me figure this out, but so far, we haven't gotten the problem to stop occurring. As of right now, when I'm recording, I've got it. It's even weirder. If I'm in a Save As dialog box, text expander won't expand. But if I'm in, just like in Mars Edit, writing my blog posts, it does expand, and we have no idea why. You know, I love my Magic Trackpad and keyboard for my Mac, except when, for no apparent provocation, it gets wonky. The symptoms are super fun. When the trackpad goes wonky, the cursor jumps around unpredictably, I should say, making it really hard to select things on screen. I want to re-record that. See, I can't make it 8 minutes. I love my Magic Trackpad and keyboard for my Mac, except when, for no apparent reason, it gets wonky. The symptoms are super fun. When the trackpad goes wonky, the cursor jumps around unpredictably, making it really hard to select things on screen. It appears to be a Bluetooth interference problem, because if I just plug it in via a lightning cable, the problem goes away. But whenever the trackpad starts going wonky, it takes the keyboard along for the same ride. The keyboard works, but the text on screen comes out really slowly, and the caps lock stops working. I know you probably think that's a good thing, but I learned to type properly from my mother's 1942 typing book, and I will never be convinced the caps lock key doesn't have a place in this world. The only solution for this problem with the keyboard is to plug it into my Mac via Lightning. When I pull the cable from the trackpad and I plug it into the keyboard, my typing is snappy and I have my precious caps lock back, but guess what? The trackpad goes wonky again. I know I could have 2 lightning cables hanging on my desk, but darn it, I paid for Bluetooth devices and I want 0 cables. By the way, this problem just goes away on its own. I don't do anything. I don't change anything on my desk. I don't move anything around. I don't try to search for interference. It just stops being a problem, and then it comes back later. Well, this week I had a new fiddly bit I'd never seen before. In 1Password, you can set up 2-factor authentication. When a website asks for a username and password, 1Password will autofill the information, and when it asks for the 6-digit code, you go back to 1Password, click on the code, and you get a little pop-up that shows that you've copied the code. It works perfectly. Except this week, when 4 times in a row I copied the code, and 1Password told me, I've copied the code for you, when I pasted it into the appropriate field on a website, it was a completely different set of text than what I had copied. In one case, I didn't even recognize the text that it pasted. It wasn't anything I had copied recently. I have a clipboard manager, so I was able to go back and look. I had never copied that. I'm not sure this was a 1Password problem because I noticed a few other copy-paste problems, but then everything just started to work again. Now maybe it's just me, but lately my Macs reboot themselves spontaneously. I have 3 Macs and they all do it. It seems to happen when I leave them alone too long. I don't know, they just get bored and they reboot themselves. The other day I needed to use my M1 Mac Mini to test a theory about a problem on my laptop, and so I swapped my Thunderbolt cables from my MacBook Pro to the Mac Mini and I logged in. It had been a while since I'd messed around with the Mac Mini, so I didn't remember what had been running the last time, so imagine my joy when I saw a pop-up that said, "Your Mac rebooted because of a problem. Want to send notice of this to Apple, who will absolutely never respond to you about it, and in fact never even look at it? Please do spend time filling out this little form talking about what you were doing when it was happening." You know what? I was doing nothing. Nothing. I was doing nothing at all. I don't know why you rebooted. After I reported that reboot to Apple, who will never look at it, I tried to use Spotlight to launch some apps. Spotlight returned 0 results on the Mac Mini, no matter what I typed. Okay, yeah, I know. It's a Spotlight indexing problem, and all I have to do is open System Preferences, go to Spotlight, put in my entire drive in the exclusion list, close System Preferences, remove the drive, and then wait a while for it to reindex everything. But why should I have to know how to do that by heart? Maybe if it didn't reboot spontaneously, it would remember where my stuff was. I don't want to spend time doing this. I want to use my computer. Well, are there problems on your Mac that you just, live with? They've been happening so long you don't even bother to think about the fact that you're plagued with it over and over again. I think there's about 238 things like that for me. One of the huge ones for me started probably more than a year ago and continues to this day. I like to add titles to my photos in Apple Photos. I think I must be the only person on earth who does this because if everyone did it, there would be an uproar about how hard and actually kind of broken it is. In order to add titles, you have to be on the Mac. No idea why they won't let me name my photos on iPadOS, but I've learned to live with that. In macOS Photos, if you select View, Metadata, Titles, you'll see the title field below each image. The default name will be the image name created by your camera, such as, img_3265.heic. To change it to a title, simply type in that little field on top of that image name. Well, that stopped working recently. When I type in that field, it starts entering what I'm typing, but then suddenly everything I've typed disappears and the original file name reappears with my cursor at the end of the name, so if I continue typing, it gets added to the file name extension. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out if I type really quickly, will I get the whole thing in before it happens? Or maybe if I type more slowly, it would work? All right, no worries. There's a completely another way to add titles to your photos in Photos. Open the info window by selecting the little I in the upper right of the main window, or you can use the keystroke command I. In that window, you can see the title field and start typing the desired title. But that no longer works consistently either. Halfway through typing a title, the info window loses focus and decides arbitrarily that I have hit the Enter key. I know it's hitting the Enter key because Enter is the keystroke to switch to editing mode on an image. So instead of being able to continue typing my title, I am suddenly faced with options to change brightness and saturation and crop and all that. This happens on both my 2019 MacBook Pro and my M1 Mac Mini, so it's not just one Mac that's afflicted in this way. Now I know I have a huge photos library at over 800 gigabytes, but I can't imagine I'm the only one with this problem. Have I called Apple about it? Nope. That'd be an hour and a half on the phone, the advisor telling me it's not a known issue, and then sending it to engineering who would never reply. Now, I did a few more experiments after I wrote that part up, and there's a possibility this is back to that Bluetooth problem with my keyboard, because I went back and did an experiment where I plugged my keyboard in, and I was able to continue typing in that Get Info window. So I've got to do more experiments on it, but, come on, I'm tired of doing experiments. I really, truly am. But hey, here's another fun, quick one. The other day I was typing away using my external keyboard on my MacBook Pro, and suddenly nothing I was typing was coming out on screen. Suspecting this constant Bluetooth nonsense I'm plagued with, I reached over and tried typing on the internal keyboard for the MacBook Pro. And nothing came out of that keyboard either. Seriously. I rebooted and I was back in business, but you know what? I want to use my computer. I'm tired of this. Here's a fun one. Google Drive was recently renamed Backup and Sync. For me, it crashes about a half dozen times a day. I have completely uninstalled it, including letting Hazel find and remove all of the little p-lists and caches and stuff. I've rebooted and reinstalled. Twice I've done this, and it still crashes. No one on the internet is having this problem if my searching is any indication. I am the only person on earth this is happening to. Well, I rely heavily on a lot of apps from the awesome company Rogue Amoeba. The two absolutely mission-critical ones I use a lot of them, but the mission-critical ones are Loopback and Audio Hijack. Loopback allows me to combine applications and physical microphones into virtual audio input devices. This allows me to pipe both my microphone and my audio recording application, Hindenburg, into the live show so the listeners can hear playback and hear my voice. I use Audio Hijack to sweeten the audio and record interviews for Chit Chat Across the Pond. In Audio Hijack, I can literally hijack the audio from any application, such as Skype, and record it on a separate track from my own voice. I've been using this combination of loopback and audio hijack for years and years, and it's awesome and rock solid. This week, Audio Hijack decided not to be able to hijack Skype. At first, I thought it was a bug in the latest version of Skype, but then I did some more experiments. I tested every application I could think of on my Mac to see if Audio Hijack could still hijack its audio. It could hijack QuickTime, Hindenburg, Telegram, voice memos, and Amadeus Pro, but it couldn't record any browser-type app. It couldn't hijack audio from Safari, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and it couldn't hijack any Electron apps such as Discord and Skype. I was just about to send a screenshot of my test results to Rogue Amoeba when I had a crazy idea. I uninstalled my beloved Audio Hijack, including letting Hazel clean up after it, rebooted, reinstalled, and Audio Hijack happily started recording web apps again. I did get notice after I had sent this to the Audio Hijack people, to the Rogue Amoeba people, and they didn't know what was wrong. And after I figured it out, they said, "Oh yeah, we did know that was kind of a problem. We fixed it." So that's awesome. In Audio Hijack, I've also been dealing somewhere between Audio Hijack and Loopback, and Sound Source is another application they have. I've been having this problem where my audio gets looped, and it sort of adds to itself, and it's a catastrophic failure. And I've been working with the Rogue Amoeba people for probably 2 months trying to figure that one out. It doesn't technically belong in this list because it didn't happen in the last week. Everything else I've talked about happened in the last week. Anyway, you might think this is a list of months and months of fiddliness, but like I said, every single thing on this list happened within a few days of each other. Death by 1,000 paper cups is my entire world today, and I gotta say, it's wearing on my very last nerve. Maybe I really should start recording what does work. I guess I could call it, "This one thing right here isn't fiddly, it works every time." Be a short segment, though.
That it would. Hey, just a slight thing I noticed. This is my OCD kicking in, but the crashing Google Drive header is slightly larger than the others.
Okay. There were like 18 typos when I was reading. You didn't notice any of those? I got to find them. A bunch. Let's see. Google Drive, probably, yeah, it has 2 hashes instead of 3. So I fixed that, but there was a whole bunch of typos. Spell check stopped working in Mars Edit. I forgot to mention that one. I don't know. Is it just me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sandy, call Apple about it. I dare you. Make a recording of exactly how that worked. An ever so slight Windows bias. I don't know. There's a bunch of typos in that article. I wish I knew. I thought I'd be able to see them again, but I don't. Oh well. Okay, time to support the show. Muting Steve. If you're feeling a bit strapped for money like so many people are these days, but you'd still like to be able to help out the shows, have you considered leaving a review for the podcasts? For some reason, the main place to leave reviews is the Apple Podcast app. So if you use a third-party podcast app, this is a bit of a big ask, but if you could download it and do a review, that would really help me out. In the Apple Podcast app, if you can find the podcast you'd like to review, scroll down past all of the recent episodes to show the ratings and reviews. Heck, you know what? While you're at it, review all of the Podfeed podcasts while you're there. The NosillaCast has a fair number of reviews, but the other shows are sadly in need of some love. So go in and review Chit Chat Across the Pond, Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, and if you're Programming by Stealth fan, go ahead and do a review on that as well. Promotion of the shows is very much appreciated because it brings more friends into the family of NosillaCastaways. You know how many reviews there are of Chit Chat Across the Pond?
I'm not going to say.
1. There's 1. Now, I know Chit Chat Across the Pond is probably not super popular. I think people probably do the Light and PBS, but still, 1?
I think it was for me.
It might have been. Free BSD, huh? PDX Kurt, when did you come in?
He snuck in. He's been having some rebooting issues.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Seriously. What is going on? Is it just me? 68 new messages while I was talking. I think 32 of them were Kevin telling me to do chapter marks. Ooh, which I didn't just do. Preview. What? No, I don't need a cat.
Yeah,
I
sent her
really
in
don't
there.
need a cat.
She really wanted
Thanks.
to see
I don't. Too much cat.
you. You want a dog?
Thank you. I had a dog. It was kind of loud with all the snoring.
Oh, the dog's here.
All right. You can have the dog. All right. There we go. Security bits. And now I'm going to bring in. Oh, that's why my fans are going. I was thinking, why are my fans going so loud? It's because I'm logging, I bet. And split that one. I'm going to show this. This is more interesting than both of them. Why didn't that? Huh. Oh, there, that worked. Okay, so get rid of him. Get rid of him on me. Get rid of me on him. You guys want to hear? I think Plink is real short this time.
Blink.
There you go. That's your Plink.
All plinks are good.
When in doubt, Plinks. Hey, no. Seriously, there's too much stuff up here, sweetie. No, I don't want the cat. Why did you send the cat in here?
She doesn't pay attention to whatever I say.
No, stop. Please go away. All right, let me play a little of this. Okay,
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Bouchat's. How bad were things this week, Bart?
Not too bad, actually, on the whole. I mean, I have had to do my usual trick of sandwiching the bad news between good news, but on the whole, it wasn't...
But not massive meltdown of the universe?
Not really, no. Or maybe I was just too distracted.
I think he should be over a little bit.
How bad were things this week, Bart?
Not
Not massive meltdown of the universe?
Not really, no. Or maybe I was just too distracted by all the shiny coming out of Cupertino. But no, I think it was fine.
Good.
A little bit of follow-up on...
Alrighty. Oh, I should move those over to where they're actually with... Get ready to listen, Steve. You always forget to listen. Let's listen to the transitions here.
NosillaCastaways. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Bouchat's. How bad were things this week, Bart?
How was that?
That's good. You want to check
All
the
right.
end?
Yeah, and I think I want to cut... We stumbled around closing.
Very quiet area, so I was able to open my windows, and it was just
Enjoy.
delightful.
Yeah.
Just go drive for no reason.
Well, from May 10th, we're allowed to drive further again, so...
So they're not allowed to drive.
What?
Just drive around.
Really?
I think that's what he's saying.
Windows, and it was just delightful. Just go drive for no reason.
Well, from May 10th, we're allowed to drive further again, so...
Further.
Okay.
It's not
Farther?
too far away.
All right. Well, this is not Tesla week.
No, indeed not.
But,
so we've
Those are good
cleansed...
security bits. Thanks, Bart.
Yeah, we've cleansed your palettes and all of...
Okay, I think I want to cut me there because I talk over him twice.
All right. Well, this is not Tesla week.
No, indeed not. So we've cleansed... Yeah, we've cleansed your palette.
Yeah, and I interrupted him there, so he got stumbly. Let me fix that here. And select both tracks and do that. And let's hear that.
Week.
No, indeed not. Yeah, we've cleansed your palettes and all of that.
Get rid of a little more while I'm at it. This is why I don't edit. It takes so long.
Not. Yeah, we've cleansed your palettes and all of that. So just remains for me to remind you that until next time, remember to stay patched so you stay secure.
There we go. Well, I think it's time for me to wrap things up.
I think it is.
All right, here we go. Add a chapter mark at the end. Kevin, that's a weird place to add a chapter mark. I'll save, though. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions. Everything is fiddly recordings. Comments and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com. And you can follow me on Twitter @podfeed. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You want to become a patron of the Podfeed podcast? Go to podfeed.com/Patreon. Want to do a one-time donation? Podfeed.com/PayPal. Want to join the community over on Facebook? Podfeed.com/Facebook. Want to join the community outside of Facebook? That's podfeed.com/Slack. And if you want to join the fun of the live show like so many people did, we had a blast this week, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. So, I think I talked about this a little bit at the beginning when just a few people were here, but from what I understand, if a podcaster wants to charge for podcasts inside Apple Podcasts, they have to submit a WAV file, and WAV files don't support chapter marks. So I could give you a version of the show that you have to pay for that gives you a worse experience than what I give you on the outside.
That's anyone who decides to do the subscription model with payments.
Right.
Well, why do they do this? Why Wave?
I don't know. I mean, Wave, it's just like
That doesn't
such
sound
an
very
old, weird format.
Apple-like.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they have their own.
Why not an M4A?
Right.
Yeah. Plus the fact that you're giving them the file, I think they're hosting the files too.
Oh, only for the subscription podcast?
For this subscription thing, yeah.
Oh, maybe that's it.
So you don't have the podcaster loses their customers. They lose the customers lose chapter marks. Worse experience. Where do I sign up? Yeah.
That is unusual.
Let me hear this transition here real quick.
Sure.
And stay subscribed.
Yeah, Wave is uncompressed, but you could do an AIFF that's compressed that has chapter marks.
You mean not compressed?
Sorry, uncompressed. Yeah, you could do AIFF, but that's not what they choose to do.
Yeah.
Siri, I was not talking to you, sweetie.
She felt left out. Happens a lot.
Actually, I changed it to a he. I changed it to one of the other voices.
I
changed
it to number 4, I think.
Yeah, why did they give them numbers instead of names?
I think they're just trying to basically make it non-denominational.
I guess. Yeah, Flack. I think Flack supports commercials. Chapters. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I am exporting the file. It is 5:58. We could get out exactly on time if we do, or if we play our cards right here, Steve.
Yeah, good timing. Well done.
I think I got a glass of wine with my name on it. I deserve one. Did a good job.
I wonder where that's coming from.
Well, actually, Bruce did the good job. So I didn't have to do much work this week at all.
He did it one take.
Is that really what the A in AIFF stands for? Is it Apple? No. Does it really? That can't be right.
No, because I don't think it's an Apple standard, is it?
Oh. What does SGN stand for? Some good news. This was the name of the show by what's his name? Cherwinski. No, Brian, the guy from The Office that played Jim. He had a really great show at the beginning of the pandemic where he did good news. It was a wonderful show, and I bought this shirt. Yeah, what's his name? Brian Krasinski? Is that his name?
Krasniks?
Not Brian. John Krasinski. I'm getting close.
Yeah, you're going to get there. By the end of the show, you'll be there.
All right. Well, I was just vamping for one more. We've got 25 seconds to come up with the name. Would you stop giving me chapter marks, Kevin? The show's over. The show's finished.
We've got 15 seconds.
All right. Well, I'm gonna blow. Was Rose here? I think I saw Rose
She
come
was
in.
here earlier.
Bye, Rose. If she's here, every video must end with that.
Yeah.
Chapter markers count.